Hey everyone, welcome back. Over the next 7 days, the United States is set to experience a series of powerful winter storms, bringing significant snowfall, ice accumulation, and even a return of severe weather, including tornadoes. In today's forecast, we'll break down everything you need to know about how these storms will develop, where they will hit the hardest, and what kind of impacts you can expect. As of today, the weather remains relatively quiet across most of the country. However, this temporary calm won't last for long. A band of moisture is already making its way in from the Pacific Ocean, setting the stage for an expansive area of precipitation that will stretch across the Central Plains and extend into the Mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley by tonight and into tomorrow morning. Until then, conditions remain mostly stable. So if you're in an area currently experiencing clear skies, make sure to enjoy the break while it lasts. Regions such as the Gulf Coast, the Northern Plains, and the West Coast are still under calm conditions, but that will change dramatically later in the week as multiple winter storms begin to take shape. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button like this video and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. The National Weather Service has already issued winter storm watches for several states, including Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, Delaware, and New Jersey. Meanwhile, a separate winter storm has prompted watches across the Central Plains as well. These watches will likely expand significantly as we move into the middle of the week, and by Wednesday, we could see an even broader swath of winter storm warnings issued. Given the potential severity of these storms, there is a strong possibility that we will host a live stream to provide continuous coverage as the situation unfolds. So if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on to stay updated on the latest developments. We progress through the next few days. A complex interaction between Pacific moisture and cold air surging down from Canada will lead to the formation of widespread precipitation across the central United States. By tonight, this will evolve into an extensive band of snow, rain, and freezing rain impacting multiple regions. Early Tuesday morning, we expect to see light to moderate snowfall developing over Kentucky, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, with additional light snow beginning to form over Nebraska and Kansas. For those in the Central Plains who may not see significant snowfall from this initial system, don't be discouraged. Multiple opportunities for snow are on the way throughout the week. Meanwhile, heavy rain will begin to fall across the Southern Plains and into the Dix Highway region, with prolonged periods of rainfall expected from Tuesday through Saturday. This prolonged precipitation will likely lead to flooding concerns, especially as we move later into the week. By Tuesday night, heavy snow will ramp up in the Mid-Atlantic, affecting areas such as Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware. Freezing rain will also begin to develop, particularly over parts of northern North Carolina and southern Virginia, creating hazardous conditions and the potential for ice accumulation. Moving into Wednesday morning, moderate snowfall will continue across the Mid-Atlantic, while freezing rain persists in portions of Virginia and North Carolina. By the afternoon, conditions will begin to dry out somewhat, although lingering light snow and freezing drizzle may still be present. However, this brief break will not last long, as the next winter storm begins to develop rapidly in the Central Plains by Wednesday evening. This next storm will be more intense, bringing heavy snowfall to eastern Kansas and northern Missouri, while freezing rain spreads across Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, and southern Missouri. By late Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, this system will push eastward, bringing heavy snow to the Midwest and Great Lakes while maintaining a thin but impactful zone of freezing rain over southeastern Missouri and southern Illinois. As we move into Thursday, this winter storm will continue its trek toward the northeast. Heavy snowfall will spread across central and northern New England, affecting much of New York, while southern portions of New England and Pennsylvania experience more of a wintry mix. By late Thursday, the storm will begin to move offshore, leaving behind only scattered areas of light snowfall. However, the winter weather onslaught is far from over. As we head into the weekend, yet another major winter storm is on the horizon, driven by a significant atmospheric river event along the West Coast. This influx of Pacific moisture will move over the Rocky Mountains late Friday into Saturday, setting the stage for a large area of snowfall, as well as the potential for severe weather in the Deep South. By Saturday afternoon, heavy snow will spread across the Great Lakes, Midwest, and parts of the Northeast, with freezing rain again becoming a concern in certain regions. At the same time, the severe weather threat will escalate in the Southeast, where an elevated risk of damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes is likely to develop. The exact placement and intensity of this severe weather will depend on the storm's track and the amount of moisture that can be pulled northward. But there is a growing concern that Saturday could produce a more significant severe weather event. By Sunday morning, the storm will continue its eastward march, with snowfall persisting in the northeast and a possible transition to snow in portions of the mid-Atlantic, depending on how quickly cold air filters in behind the system. By late Sunday, most of the storm's impacts will have moved offshore, bringing a return to quieter conditions as we head into the start of the following week. In terms of snow and ice accumulation, significant totals are expected across several regions. The Mid-Atlantic, in particular, is forecast to receive between 2 to 4 inches of snow, with higher totals of 4 to 8 inches likely in northern Kentucky, West Virginia, northern Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware. Some isolated locations could see as much as 10 inches, particularly in the purple shaded areas on forecast maps. New Jersey is also expected to pick up around 3 to 6 inches, particularly in the southern part of the state. Ice accumulation will be most concerning across central and western Virginia, as well as West Virginia, where some areas could receive up to a 1/4 inch of ice. While this is not expected to cause widespread power outages, untreated roadways could become dangerously slick, leading to hazardous travel conditions. In the Central Plains, snowfall totals will generally range between 4 to 8 inches across Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri, with localized areas possibly exceeding these amounts. As this system moves into the Midwest and Northern Ohio Valley, Michigan will also see notable snowfall accumulations. Now, let's talk about Boston. I've been seeing reports of 5 to 6 inches so far, and it's still snowing as I'm filming this. I think we'll end up somewhere around 6 to 8 inches in the greater Boston area, which is exactly what we thought. In New York City, you got about 3 to 4 inches, but that didn't last long. Warm air moved in quickly and wiped it out. One place that definitely got less snow than expected was western Massachusetts and parts of Connecticut. A lot of spots only ended up with about 3 or 4 inches. So yeah, if anybody really missed out on this one, it was probably you guys. All right, so that was storm number 1, and it's moving out. Now let's look ahead. Storm number 2 is going to start making its presence known in just a couple of days on February 11th. Right now, we've got a slight risk of significant winter weather in parts of West Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, and even back towards Kansas. How this is going to play out. Watch that wintry precipitation rapidly spread from Kansas through the Ohio Valley early Tuesday morning. Snow will start falling in Kansas, Denver, and St. Louis, though nothing too crazy, just some light snow. Meanwhile, wintry precipitation is going to stretch from Missouri down into the mountains of North Carolina and Virginia. Now, this could turn into a pretty significant sleet and freezing rain event in southwestern Virginia by Tuesday afternoon. At the same time, heavier snow will start setting up along the I-64 corridor from West Virginia into northern Virginia. South of that, it's all about the rain. Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi, you guys are in for thunderstorms and heavy downpours. As beyond that's early Wednesday morning, that heavier snow will push into the DC Baltimore area and parts of Delaware. And just like that, we'll be wrapping up this next storm. But before that one even finishes, we already have another big storm forming. Now, let's take a look at expected snow totals through Wednesday morning. Kansas, you're looking at 1 to 3 inches, maybe a bit more in some spots up into Nebraska. Missouri, St. Louis, probably not much for you guys, maybe just a dusting. Same for Lexington, Cincinnati, and Louisville. Things get a little more interesting over in the mid-Atlantic. Northern Virginia, DC. I think you guys can expect 2 to 4 inches. Toms River, New Jersey. Same deal. 2 to 4 inches there. Now, originally, this storm looked like it was going to be a much bigger deal. But as we've gotten closer, it's looking more like a quick hitting burst of snow rather than a full-blown winter storm. One thing we do need to watch, though, is the ice. Down in the mountains of southwestern Virginia, we could see over a 1/4 inch of ice accumulation by Wednesday morning, which could mean hazardous travel and even power outages. So be ready for that. And that brings us to storm number 3. This one is shaping up to be the biggest and most impactful of the bunch. There's a 40 probability of significant winter precipitation from eastern Kansas up through Missouri, Illinois, and into Chicago and Detroit, Indianapolis. You're in this too, Southern Ontario, you as well. This is shaping up to be a widespread major winter storm between February 13th and 14th. So a quick hitting storm exits the East Coast, much larger storm is going to take shape. We might even have some severe weather to watch in Texas, but the big story will be the heavy snow. Kansas into southern Iowa, you guys will be getting dumped on. This is going to develop into a classic mid-latitude cyclone, rapidly strengthening as it moves up the eastern U.S. That means anyone on the cold side of the storm is in for heavy snow, sleet, or ice, while the southern side is looking at thunderstorms and heavy rain. Chicago, the storm has your name on it. Indianapolis, Detroit, Cleveland, you're all in the mix too, but you're right on the edge of the warm air. So we might see some of that snow turn into sleet or freezing rain. Same story for St. Louis. And as this storm moves northeast, it looks like warm air might push in and limit snow totals in cities like Boston and New York. So instead of a big northeast snowstorm, this one looks like a major event for the Midwest and Great Lakes region. But we're not done yet. As soon as the system exits, another storm number 4 is already forming on the West Coast. We've got another atmospheric river setting up for California with heavy snow expected in the Sierra by February 13th and 14th. That snow is going to spread across the Rockies, hitting Utah and Colorado pretty hard by Valentine's Day. And just like before, that storm is eventually going to meet up with Gulf moisture and turn into another big system for the East Coast by February 15th, 16th. So yeah, there is absolutely no shortage of winter weather to talk about over the next week. And honestly, I don't think it's going to stop there. So look at the national blend of models showing expected snowfall over the next 200 hours. Now, keep in mind, this isn't exact, and not all of this snow will fall at once. But check it out. Chicago could see well over a foot when you add up everything from multiple storms. The highest snowfall totals will be concentrated in the Midwest, Great Lakes, and of course the mountains out west, where some spots could get up to 80 inches of snow over the next 7 days. And remember, it's not just about the snow. The southern side of these storms will bring heavy rain and possible severe weather. It's too early to talk specifics on the severe threat, but flooding is going to be a real concern, especially from Louisiana through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. If you live in a flood-prone area, start preparing now. Some spots could see 8 to 10 inches of rain over the next week, and that could lead to flash flooding, river flooding, and other major issues. That's all the weather I've got for you today. Things are getting really interesting out there, and I'll have another update for you tomorrow. I'm also seriously considering going live for the big Midwest and Great Lakes storm, so make sure you've got notifications turned on so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Stay safe out there.